everyone. Welcome to the season finale of The Flash, Season 6, Episode 19. Success is assured. It doesn't feel like the end. I mean, usually all the DC shows end in May, and so we're pretty much on schedule as far as that's concerned, but because it's ending at 19, it honestly does feel like, like we got gypped on 3 or 4 episodes, and we did. But but like I said before, due to the worldwide pandemic, they're going. The show had to cut early, but the resolution of the 3 episodes that we didn't get, I'm pretty sure they'll condense that into like 2 episodes, and then it'll be the 2 episodes that open season 7. So we'll definitely look forward to that. So let's get right into it and close this book on this year's season of The Flash. So the episode starts with Eva McCullough. Eva's out of the box, and it's weird because she's doing like she's in that cryo chamber thing. Because I said in the last video, my prediction is that's not actually like the real Eva McCullough. That's like an Eva clone that basically like took over. I mean, for all we know, the real Eve is dead based on what everybody keeps saying. But because she kept saying that, she was in a cryo chamber in the last episode, and now she has on like this weird suit. And then, the Mirror Singh, he was just like, oh, nice suit. And then she said, yeah, it helps stabilize me or whatever, while I'm out here. So I'm just like, if that was the real you, it's like, why do you need the suit? So there's more to this person than they're letting on to be. Whether she is the real Eva, and because she's been in the damn Mirrorverse for so long, like her powers are out of whack, or that is actually a clone. But obviously we'll find out in season 7. So so the episode begins. Team Flash, they're trying to track down like Eva. They're trying to track down well, not Carver. They're not looking for Carver. They're basically trying to track down Eva because Barry knows that she's out there now. She's coming for that ass. So they end up so they're all at Barry's job. They're talking about the situation, and Ralph pulls out the diamond that Sue gave him in like previous episodes, and then he said that the diamond actually had had a logo on it. It had the McCullough logo on it. So Allegra, she was just like, this thing's like, it's like it's shooting out like a lot of UV rays. So she takes it, she pushes her power through the diamond pulls up a map. The diamond basically pulls up like, like the logo or whatever. So Barry's like, hey, point that thing at the map. They point it at the map. It shows the location of a warehouse on the post side of town. So Ralph and Barry, they go to the warehouse, and we find Mirror Singh. Now the warehouse belongs to Carver. Like Carver's the one, like he owns the warehouse. He has all of his shady business practices. The evidence of all the shady business practices he keeps in that warehouse. Because even with Sue's parents, we know that he's blackmailing her parents, and all the paperwork and information regarding him blackmailing her parents was also in that warehouse. Like Ralph had found the box that had that information in it, and he tried to he wanted to take it, so he could help get her parents from under her thumb. Singh was basically trying to torch the place because Eva's whole thing is, now that Eva's out and about, she's trying to destroy Carver. She's trying to destroy, his reputation in the company. So she knows that warehouse contains like all his shady business practices. So she had Singh burn it down to the ground. So Barry and them show up, they try to stop her, they try to stop him. They don't stop him. Singh lights the place on fire. All of Sue's information gets burnt up in the boxes, and Barry and Ralph, they leave. So now they're just like, all right, the warehouse is gone. We missed our chance to get her. What do we do now? And then Barry's like, well, there's only one thing we can do at this point. We got to protect Carver, unfortunately. So Barry goes and talks to Carver, and then Carver's smug ass, he's just like, I don't need your protection, Barry Allen. He's like, you come to me talking about my wife stepped out of the Mirrorverse. He's like, if she stepped out of the Mirrorverse, I would know it. And then he goes, how's your wife, Barry? And I was just like, oh. He's just like, he actually showed Barry footage. He showed Barry the footage of Iris getting pulled into the Mirrorverse, and he was just like, that's the same thing that happened to my wife, and if it's the same situation, your wife is toast. He was like, your wife's brain is toast. Because he's like, people don't survive the Mirrorverse. And Barry's like, no, Iris is alive. And he's just like, whatever, homie. So then, he was just, then he told her, he was just like, look, he was like, I don't need your protection. He was just like, if my wife's coming to get me, I would know about it. And plus, he was just like, I got the three metahuman girls to protect me anyway, which is the Asian girl with the gun, Sunshine and Esperanza. Like all three of them. They're actually, the thing is, like, I thought that they were working for Carver, for money or whatever. Come to find out, like, he's blackmailing them too. Like he's forcing them to, to work for him as well. But he's just like, he figured in his mind, he's like, yeah, I got those three, so he's like, it's all good. So then the three of them, I guess, like, they're staying at like some house or whatever. He gets the call, like, he calls them. He's just like, yo, I need y'all to I need y'all to roll up. He's like, because apparently my wife's coming for my ass, because Barry told Carver. He was just like, yeah, like, she blew up your warehouse. So he went to go see the three of them. Ava knew about the three of them. So before the three of them could get a chance to back up Carver, Ava went to the stash house, or the house where they were all staying, and Eva yanked all three of them into the Mirrorverse. And then, like, they were gone, and Carver showed up. He was just like, damn, like, Eva got to them. So now he goes with his tail tucked between his legs back to Team Flash, and then he's just like, my bad, like, I could use that protection after all, and then somebody, like, while he's at the precinct, because he went to the precinct to go talk to Barry. So he's at the precinct. Wells is there. Allegra's there. Ralph is there. We got a lot of Ralph because Cisco was not in this episode, and Caitlyn was still stuck at home. So Ralph basically stepped in to play that meta role. So Ralph was all over Ralph was all over this episode. So so they're all there. They're at the precinct. They're just like, all right, fine. We'll get this guy into protective custody. We'll call Argus or something, but we just got to get out of here and go back to Star Labs. Mira Singh shows up because, remember, he's the district attorney, or the chief of police or whatever. And then he's just like, oh, Mr. Carver. He's like, I'm going to escort you into protective custody myself. And then Nash, everybody was just like, because they know that he's a mirror person, so they're just like, he's going to take him right to Eva, and then Eva going to kill his ass. So Barry tried to, so then Mira Singh went to go talk to Barry. And then he was just like, yo, Barry, just let me take him. He was like, don't try to stop me, because, and he brought up a good point, because he was just like, look, bro, he was just like, ain't nobody got no beef with the Flash. Ain't nobody messing with Team Flash. Like, Ava just wants him so she can take care of him. He's not even a good person. Why are you even trying to protect him? And then he was just like, look, we don't have no beef with you. If you let us take him, we'll let you have Iris back. And I'm like, first of all, if that was the case, if their whole thing was, oh, we're not bad. If Ava's whole thing is like, I'm not a bad person, I just want to kill my husband. It has nothing to do with anybody else except my husband. Why are you keeping Iris in the mirror still? Why are you keeping Camilla in the mirror still? And why are you keeping Singh in the mirror still? If anything, she would have just let them go. And at this point, because Ava can basically do whatever she wants, Ava should approach Barry, give Barry all three of them back, and then say, here's your family. Stop trying to stop me from killing Carver. But she didn't even offer that up as a prize. So, that's, like I said, and to me, like, that shit, like, the whole reason why Ava won't let Iris and Camilla and Singh out of the Mirrorverse, that whole thing is shady to me, because the whole episode Ava kept saying, I'm not a bad person. So anyway, so then Nash is just like, so Barry's like considering the offer, and then Nash was just like, nah, like, something's up here. So remember, like, in the earlier seasons when Nash had that blue smoke that could make you disappear from one place, and like, I forgot he had that. So he busted back the blue smoke. Everybody except Singh disappeared, and they all popped up in Star Labs. Carver was like, yo, how much for that technology? And then they were just like, look, we'll have Argus, we'll call Argus, and Argus can come get you, and then maybe they can protect you that way. But then Carver was just like, look, I have access to some technology that will shield him from the Mirrorverse in his building. He was like, if y'all can get me to my building, I have a secret panic room that Ava doesn't know about. As long as I'm in the panic room and I turn on that force field, we'll be perfectly fine. So let's all go to my building. Now he did say Ava doesn't know about my magical panic room. And we found out that she does know about it, because when Iris and Ava were in the mirror together, and Iris found that button on the side of the mirror, and Iris pushed that button, and then, like, the thing opened, that was his panic room. That was his panic room on the other side. So Ava Ben found out about that shit. Like, she Ben knew about the panic room. So he was doomed from the start. So while they're trying to put that whole plan together, Ralph ended up, going back to his detective headquarters, whatever. He called Sue's parents, because remember, his parents hired him in the beginning of the season to find her. well, shit, since last season, they hired him to find her. So he basically called her parents to tell them, like, hey, listen, like, I found your daughter or whatever, just to give them, the 411 on the situation. Sue ends up showing up with her parents, and then she's just like, yeah, she's like, I came to my parents, whatever. She lied and said she was just in India, on some breakup trip, and then and then Ralph, pulled her to the side, and he was just like, yo, what happened? And then she's like, how you gonna go to your parents? And then she was just like, I don't want you digging into this anymore. And then she said that, Carver decided to stop the blackmail. And then she was just like, well, if Carver decided to stop the blackmail, then there was no reason for me to stay in hiding. So so I told my parents that I was still alive. And then Ralph was like, that's bullshit, because Carver wouldn't just cut them loose unless he got something in return. But Sue was like, yo, drop it. And that was the end of that. So then, so now everybody's all at the building. They're trying to keep, Barry's upstairs with Carver in the panic room. Nash, Allegra, Ralph, they're in the lobby. And then they're in the lobby evacuating the building. And then while they're evacuating the building, Sue shows up with a business suit on and the McCullen Technology badge on. And then Ralph saw her and he was like, yo, what up? And then she was just like, why don't you just leave me alone? And then he put two and two together. He was like, the fact that you even have that badge on, he was, then he thought about it. He was like, well, the only way that you can get close to Carver is by working for him and being on his team. And then she was just like, yeah, she said, I traded myself, because, she has a very specific skill set of breaking into things. So she was just like, so she told him, she was just like, I traded myself for my parents. So my parents got off scot-free. And now I work for Carver. But he was just like, yeah, but the only way you would work for Carver is because now that you're a member of his team and you have like the badge, whatever, you can actually get close enough to him now to kill him. And then he's just like, you planning on killing him, and then she was just like, mind your business. And she knocked him out. She had sprayed him in the face with something, which knocked him out for a little bit. And then she dipped and went upstairs to go kill Carver. So now, like, while they're all in the lobby, Esperanza, the girl with the Asian girl who had the gun, and Sunshine, they all show up. And then, Carver's just like, oh, my people are here. And then come to find out, like, the three of them are working for Ava now. Because when Ava recruited them, when she pulled them into the Mirrorverse, so now, because she said she liberated them, because she was like, Carver was holding something against all three of them and forcing them to work for him. But she was just like, I've liberated them from that. And now that, she's like, and now they willingly work for me. So, I mean, for all we know, they could be clones. They could be clones too, for all we know. So the three of them start fighting, the three of them start fighting Allegra, Wells, and Ralph, because Ralph woke up. And, and it was kind of funny because when the three of them were there and they were about to fight, I believe it was Ralph who he called them like Ava's angels, and when he said that, when Ralph was just like, who are they supposed to be, Ava's angels? That's when I was like, where's Cisco? That's when I realized Cisco wasn't in the episode, and so because Cisco would be the one to make those types of those puns. So so now they're all fighting with everything, while they're getting their butts kicked, and then Sue shows up in her Black Widow costume and she decides to help Ralph and them, like now that's like a 4-on-1. Esperanza and Allegra end up getting into a fight. The two of them were actually talking before they fought, because she was like, you left me at Iron Heights, and then she was just like, you think you're the only one who's suffering, and this, that, and the third. Before the fight happened, Wells gave Allegra like this stone, and he said, if you ever get into trouble, just shoot your power through this stone. So when her and her cousin were fighting, and it's clear that Esperanza has tactical training. Last I checked, ain't nobody teaching Allegra nothing. So the fact that Allegra even held her own for 10 seconds in that fight was complete BS, because she has no training at all. The two of them didn't even have a fight with their powers. They had a straight up hand-to-hand fight, and Esperanza held her own for like 15 seconds, and I was like, that's bullshit. So anyway, so Esperanza hits the floor. Allegra hits the floor. And then Esperanza, she was just like, you turned your back on me, cousin, and she's about to blast her. And then just when, like right when she's about to kill her, Nash shows up. And then he's just like, yo, hit her with the stone. She hits her with the stone. And then, later on, Allegra asked him, she was like, what did the stone do? And then Nash said, it's making her relive her greatest fear. And her greatest fear, I guess, was when she was in Iron Heights and they were doing experiments on her, or whatever was going on. Whatever was happening to her in Iron Heights, she was locked up in a chair. Somebody had stuck something in her throat. So maybe, I don't know, maybe somebody did experiments on her. So that was her biggest fear. So I guess she was she was out of it. She was down for the count after all that happened. You know, so then after that, so that's baseless. So now they said everybody in the lobby fighting. So now we go back upstairs. You know, Carver's upstairs. He's in his panic room. He's just like, yeah, it's all gravy. I'm safe. And then his wife comes right out the mirror on some creepy, spooky shit, and she just looked at him. And I was like, oh man, like this chick is crazy. So, you know, and then we got some more insight into what her actual beef is. Aside from the fact that, you know, Carver abandoned her and never tried to find her. We found out earlier in the episode, because of Mira Singh, he told Barry, he was just like, this was way more personal than him just not trying to find her. The night of the particle accelerator, when she got blasted with the particle accelerator and went through the mirror, he was there in the office with her. He was literally at the next desk. He watched her go flying into the mirror. He knew she was in the mirror, and he didn't even make it's not like he tried to get her out and then eventually gave up and moved on. When she went in the mirror, he was just like, oh, well. And, you know, and then he stole all of her ideas, all of her technology. And then he started this whole black hole, you know, criminal empire. So that's why she was just like, yo, you guys to go. So Barry shows up and he's just like, he doesn't deserve to die. And then, you know, Ava took a bunch of broken glass, she threw it at Carver. Barry jumped in the way. So now Barry got glass all in his system. And for the little bit of speed, I mean, does the man have speed or does he not? Does he not have speed? Because his wristwatch was in the red zone the entire episode, and I'm just like, even with the little bit of speed he got left, all that glass, like she took a thick ass piece of glass and literally forced it through his body and shot it into Carver's chest. And I'm like, I don't give a damn how much residual power you got left. That should have done more damage to Barry than it actually did. But, you know, so she pushes the glass through. It punctures Carver in the chest. Carver dead. And then but before Carver died, he said to her, and this goes back to my theory about her actually being a clone. Carver said to her, you're not real. My wife died the night of the particle accelerator. You're not even a real thing. You're not a real person. And then I just sat there like, what an odd thing to say. And then her response was, I feel more alive than ever. And I'm just like, but that doesn't mean you're not a clone. So I'm still on the bandwagon that she's a super clone and the real Ava McCullum is in the Mirrorverse somewhere and Iris and Camilla gonna find her eventually. You know, so that was that. So and then Ava gave Barry the speech again. She was just like, look, we're not enemies. She's like, I ain't got no beef with you. And my whole thing is, if that's the case, let Iris out the goddamn Mirrorverse. But she was just like, yo, you don't mess with me, and I won't mess with y'all. But Barry was just like, nah, like you just committed murder, and you know my wife's still trapped. So he was like, I'm never gonna stop, you know, trying to stop you. And then she was like, well, do you, homie? So she was like, but now that I'm back from the dead, this is my building. I'm the acting CEO of McCullum Technologies. My husband dead. Take you and your band of merry friends. Get the F up out my house. So they kick all of them back to the curb. And Team Flash took a L on that one, and they're back at Star Labs. So now that they're in Star Labs, they're just like, you know, Barry gives everybody the speech, you know, and then, you know, he was just like, look, we're going to find our people. We're going to rescue them, this, that, and the third. Cecile shows up, and then she's like, you're damn right, we're going to save them. And she was like, and we brought some reinforcements. Now, I'm just going to say this. I love Joe West. I ain't got no problem with Joe West. I don't have a problem with Jesse L. Martin. But when she said, we brought backup, and Joe West came around the corner, that was extremely underwhelming. Because the way Cecile set that up, I swear to God, I thought Wally was coming around the corner. I thought Wally was going to be like, yo, Kid Flash is back, man. I'm just like, I mean, let's just keep it real. In the grand scheme of things, what is Joe really going to do? To the point where they gave him like this big old introduction, to the point where it was almost like, and then he came around the corner, bobbing and weaving, like, yeah, Joe West is back, baby. And I'm like that's not doing it. Team Flash taking these L's. So, and then at the end, so that was it for Team Flash. And then at the end, you know, because remember, Cisco still in Atlantis, trying to find that magical piece of technology that will rebuild the Speed Force. So now Ralph went to go see Sue, and then he was just like, hey, she was just like, now that McCullen's dead, now that Carver's dead, she was just like, I can give all this up and I can go back home. And then Ralph was like, nah, you really can't, because he showed her a picture, and then because Ava, now that Ava's back, she has her company back and she's back in full force. But somebody had to take the rap for Carver's murder, so Ava framed Sue for Carver's murder because, again, she was an employee of his, and she could easily say that, yeah, this girl that was working for him, she was like working for somebody else and she betrayed him, and then it's very easy to put that shit on her. So, and that's that. I mean, and that's kind of cool because the fact that Sue got framed for Carver's murder, it gives Sue and Ralph to do something next season. So now Ralph and Sue will be on the verge of clearing her name, from Ava's framing. And so then this brings us to, so that's it. So Team Flash is done. Everybody done on Team Flash. Allegra and Wells, finally warmed up to each other, because I was just like, yeah, drag that shit out way too long. Joe's back, and say la vie. So now, Killer Frost was doing this whole thing where, and I forgot actually, because I had said maybe one or two reviews ago, I was just like, yo, for some reason Caitlyn's home and I have no idea why. I forgot Danielle Panabaker in real life is actually pregnant. So now it makes more sense. Like, the reason why Kate's been sitting on the couch for 3 episodes straight, because that was obviously the time where Danielle Panabaker found out she was pregnant. So now that they found out she was pregnant, they needed a way to get her out of the action, get Killer Frost out of the action. So so her mom shows up, because remember she said that the only person that can help her is her mom. Her mom shows up. Her mom gets to know Killer Frost, because she never met Killer Frost before. They had a conversation. Obviously, her daddy came up. No Talks of Icicle Jr. came up, but, the two of them got to know each other a little bit. They had a nice little conversation, and then Caitlyn popped up. She was talking to Barry before she left. They said Caitlyn was going to the Arctic so her mom can do some tests on her to try to heal her or do whatever. I have no idea what's going on anymore with Caitlyn, but in order to get Danielle off the show, they got to send Caitlyn and Killer Frost to the Arctic with her mama. And the funniest thing happened because because Barry was there to say goodbye to Caitlyn when she left. So when Barry said goodbye, and then Caitlyn left the apartment, and then her mom left the apartment, Barry was just standing there in the apartment, and I'm kind of like, isn't that Caitlyn's apartment? Like, why is Barry? Why is Shouldn't Barry have been the one to leave the apartment, or shouldn't the three of them had left together? I'm like, why would Caitlyn leave her own apartment and just leave Barry in her apartment? Like I said, that was funny to me, but whatever. And finally, the beautiful Iris West. She, her and Camilla, they're still in the mirror. They're talking to each other. They had made a pact to not look at TV screens and look at stuff, because she's just like, if you look at stuff, then you start getting used to it, then you go crazy. But she accidentally looked at a screen, and when she looked at the screen, it was showing her the location of where Carver was. And Iris's whole thing now is she's starting to become one with the Mirrorverse, to the point where she's starting to be able to control the Mirrorverse. And that's apparently a bad thing, and because she started to control now that she can control it, it's making her mind go a little bit more warped. And then a weird thing happened. She ended up her mind, like she was more in control of the Mirrorverse, but then her mind started going crazy. She started freaking out, and then she crystallized and disappeared, and that's how the show ended, to be continued. And that was weird because, again, if Iris went crazy and crystallized and disappeared, why would we not believe that didn't happen to the real Ava McCullen? So again, wherever Iris went, she's probably going to end up where, like, I'm 100% convinced the Ava McCullen that's running things right now is a clone. And Iris, wherever she got teleported to, she gonna bump into the real Ava McCullen, and then she gonna help like I said, her brain's probably gonna turn into jello, and then they're gonna somehow get her back, and then they all gonna escape the mirror together, and then it's gonna be Eva versus Eva, because the Eva that's out in the world now, like with that suit, she badass. Like when she was fighting Barry with her new suit on, with her hair all pulled back, with her makeup done, looking all cute and everything, she bust out the Mega Man cannon to the point where she stuck out her hand, and then like her arm turned into a cannon on some cyborg Mega Man shit. And I was just like, okay, female big bads, you gotta love those female big bads. And yeah, so that was it. My predictions for, like I said, I don't like. That's basically like my biggest prediction for next season. My biggest prediction is that we're going to find out that Ava McCullum, the real Ava McCullum, is still in the mirror, and this chick parading around as a clone. Obviously, Cisco's going to come back, because Cisco obviously was supposed to come back from his Aquaman Odyssey in the last few episodes, and because we didn't get those last few episodes, that's why Cisco wasn't in this episode. So we didn't get Cisco, we didn't get So we didn't get Cisco. Caitlyn gone. Killer Frost gone. We ain't gonna see Killer Frost again. We're not gonna see Killer Frost again. Not until she has the baby. And I'm pretty sure that once she does have the baby, she ain't like. You might as well just scratch Caitlyn for season 7, because if Caitlyn does come back in season 7, she's gonna come back in the season finale of season 7. Because I said, between having the baby and then taking care of the baby and then feeling comfortable to the point where you want to be away from the baby, she ain't coming. Like I said, like Becky Lynch on wrestling, she just announced that she was pregnant and she having a baby, and she was the champion, and because of her pregnancy, she gave up the belt. Becky Lynch straight up gave up the belt because she was just like, look, I'm pregnant. She's like, I ain't gonna defend. She's like, I will not be able to defend this championship anytime soon, and we might not see her for 1.5 years, 2 years. So Caitlyn cameo, season finale of season 7. Yeah, like I said, Cisco will be back. He'll probably get his powers back next season. I hope Wally comes back, and then yeah, that'll be it. But when Iris gets out of the mirror, there's gonna be some residual effects. Like there's gonna be some effects that go on with Iris. It's just not gonna be like, oh, they pull her out and everything's fine. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. So good. And then Ramsey will play a part in it somehow as well, because like I said, because we didn't get the true season finale, it's just like there's so many cliffhangers, there's so many things that are left unsaid, so many things that were thrown out on the table. But like I said, we'll see. Like I said, we'll see. So yeah, so that was it. That was season 6 of The Flash, and it was a good season. It started off with the whole Ramsey drama. It started off with Bloodsport. Then we got Crisis, and then it led into the Mirror Master saga. And I'm actually waiting for somebody to call her the Mirror Master, because she is the Mirror Master. So, leave a comment. Leave a comment in the comment section. Tell me what you think's going to happen next season. What do you think's going to happen, to the characters, all the characters that you like, the characters that you hate. And, for season 7 of The Flash, like, who is your MVP of season 7? Like, who was the one character that that you loved throughout the entire season, and who was the one character that you didn't like throughout the entire season? I mean, me, I like Iris. Like, Iris was my favorite character for for the season, because I love the work that she did playing Mirror Iris while playing herself at this at the same time. So I definitely give her a lot of props for that. As far as like the character that I hate for the season, I mean, there wasn't really anybody that I hated. I mean, Cisco, honestly, Cisco's getting on my nerves with this whole power thing. I wish they would just give him his vibe powers back. But Cisco was my least favorite character of this season, because he also did a lot of bitching. But I don't hate him. He was just like the least favorite. So that was it. So thank you for tuning in. Like I said, let's keep the conversation going. Flash is in the books for this season. We have the season finales of Supergirl and Batwoman coming up this Sunday. Legends of Tomorrow is still going strong. And like I said, we got Stargirl coming up, and then we got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we're going to be here for all that. So thank you for tuning in. Check me out on social media. Leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And for The Flash, Season 6, I'm out this bitch!